Mic check, mic check. Let me get a yo.
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 All right, there we
Yo.
go. All right, that was a little late. It was a little delayed. You know what I'm saying? But you all right? You got your mittens on? You ready?
I bought heated gloves, yo. Little battery packs right there.
Thanos
TJ
edition.
TJ knows how it goes with the nighttime smoking in the cold, yo.
He
You're
got
wild,
the
bro.
He got the extra large OJs on.
Oh,
Yeah. He got
Man
them
trying to
joints on.
save the rest of his ashy skin right there. That's what he's doing.
These are the early 2000 Hulk gloves. They're just missing the sound box. Ah,
Yo, but shout out to everybody tuning in right now. The streamers are gonna start rolling in here. It's the Pick and Roll Podcast, episode 43. I'm here with my man Super Dave. Super Dave, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. What's going on with you?
We're good, man. This is the first time we're using like high level technology. We finally brought some people on here that we could just smack around in these sports debates a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
shit.
Yeah, we got some
shit.
shills. We call them shills. You know what I mean? They're the guys that we bring to get other people to join the 3-card Molly.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Or 3-card Monty. That's what it is.
That's it.
You know what I mean? We got a Giants fan. That's semi-respectable. But then we got an Eagles fan.
Oh,
Yeah, so we got Eagles fan here. You know what I mean? But shout out to these are my guys. I show up on their show. They got a great sports show, Starting Five Podcast, HHDG Media Group. We're going to start off my man Dan Dinkins, the mayor of Staten Island.
okay.
well,
Dan
nah,
Dinkins.
I'm just the mayor.
Oh, he's
Hi,
just the mayor.
everybody.
He don't want to claim Shaolin.
Oh,
But
no,
yeah,
I-
yeah.
No. Let's get it right. First and foremost, it's your boy the mayor. That GG named Ace 5. Your mom's favorite fat guy all the way in deepest, darkest Africa. And I always claim Staten Island, especially when I'm off this borough. But when I'm here, is a big love-hate. Sometimes it's 80-20 hate. Sometimes it's 40-60 love. But nonetheless, I'm here. I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. How y'all doing?
Yo, he's the second most talented person from Staten Island behind you, God.
Oh,
Oh,
oh.
First off, but yeah, we're gonna stop. We're
All right.
gonna leave that alone. We're gonna leave that alone because y'all, you know, I got love for you, God.
Oh,
The rest of the woo, everybody. But there, to be honest with you, on some real, like since you're talking talent, I'm thinking hip hop. There's a lot of talent in hip hop from Staten Island. It's just, of course, that hidden borough, forgotten borough in some cases, or more importantly, it's not even forgotten. It's the fact that we're too far.
mm-hmm.
Just like how we look at Queens and Long Island as too far, Staten Island is too far to the rest of the place. But there's a ton of talent out here, mad talented people in all different walks of life. I'm just the one person who's multifaceted that motherfuckers seem to not want to gravitate towards, but yet they don't stop me from continuing to do what I need to do.
They can't stop your flow. And shout out to Victory Boulevard. I used to get a pork roll and egg sandwich right there at Boar's Head at the gas station every Monday morning when I used to do my delivery route.
Mm.
But yo, TJ, give us the intro, man.
What up? What up? It's TJ, aka the Green Eyed Bandit, the Jedi. What's good? How y'all doing? Representing several places, including the Bronx, Money Earning Mount Vernon, and all of NYC. What's good, y'all?
And light skinned USA.
Hey. I'm not
See-
the president. Ron O'Neal's the president. I'm the vice president of the Light Skinned Coalition, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, TJ, I'm gonna hook you up with an intro. We're gonna say it like this. Yo, what up? This TJ Davis, the American Gladiator himself, the light-skinned Larry Zonka, and I'm here to run through these topics. That's it, the light-skinned Larry Zonka.
You say that because you got to catch up with my shit, but this is
Oh, man.
this is over 8 years of seasoning in this podcasting game. That's why my shit flows off. the way
Oh
it
yeah.
does.
We got. I'm gonna hook you up, TJ. Light skinned Larry Zonka. We're gonna get you the
I look
16
way
and
better
0.
than Larry Zonka, bro. Don't do me like that.
All right. Yo, well, we're gonna dive into these topics, man. And
Let's go.
the first one we're gonna talk about, and we're gonna talk about Ben Simmons and the Nets, right? I think this is a very important development because we're gonna build on our conversation last week about how we think this is gonna go for the Nets. I talked about it on you guys' podcast, and pretty much right now, with Ben Simmons, it's coming out that he's got a back injury. He's going to be held out for a while. Today, so he won't make the March 10th game in Philly. Today, another report came out that he may not be available for the month of March, and they're looking like his timeline is just before the playoff starts. So I want to start with you, Dave. What is your thoughts on this? What do you think is going on here? Do you think there's a back injury? Do you think it's mental? How genuine do you think this is?
I don't think it's any issue with Ben Simmons' back. I think they were talking about this before, but way before the trade happened. They were saying, well, his back was bothering him. I just think they want to be cautious with him and hold him out so he won't play in that March 10th game against Philly. I wouldn't be surprised if they say, oh, he's getting into shape a few days after that so he can make his debut, but they just don't want him to come back to Philly and play.
I got you. Dan, what are your thoughts? What do you think about this? A guy is 26 years old, 25 years old, sat out the whole season, got engaged, and now his back hurts.
Well, I'm one who has the homie pause. I got Arthur in my back right now, chilling for a few years now. Arthritis, that is. But it's something that back pain can affect anybody at any age. Don't look at it as just 26-year-old premier athlete, primetime, professional athlete. When your ass is sitting out as long as he has, now I'm sure he has been rehabbing, I'm sure he has been working, but back pain can strike anybody at any time. The mental health issue thing, I'm a person who struggled with it at one point in time. We could talk about that later if you choose to, but I think his mental health is going to vastly improve because he's no longer in Philadelphia taking Joel Embiid's verbal abuse. So good on him that if he can make it back at the start of the playoffs, I think it could work out, just depending on the type of role that they give him.
So, TJ, your thoughts on this, on Ben Simmons?
Well, I mean, I can go to conspiracy theory route. Like, is it all just made up, or was he just holding out till he got into a better situation? I think things are going to just magically come back to life, and Ben is going to be balling out for the last 2 weeks of the season, trying to get some chemistry with Durant. And if these mandates for NYC come down and Kyrie gets to play, some type of chemistry there so they can get ready to roll into the playoffs.
So now here's the thing about the mandates, right? They say the mandates don't allow Kyrie to play because they're vaccine mandates and not mask mandates. Right. And the way the mayor put the justification on it was saying, how can we require regular employees of every other type of job to have a vaccine, or they can't enter their own workplace, and we make an exception just so Kyrie could get a chip?
Mm-hmm. Right. That don't make sense.
Yeah. So do you guys agree with that, or do you think they should just kill the vaccine mandate altogether?
Let me take this, TJ.
Oh, well, yeah, I know you want this.
Wants to go. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I think at some point the vaccine mandate is going to get lifted.
Yeah.
At some point. I'm not saying that they're going to do it for Kyrie's purpose, but I just think overall for everybody, it's going to get lifted at some point.
But that seems to be where the pressure is coming from, is the Kyrie Irving situation.
Yeah.
Because scientifically, it doesn't make sense, right? But it's something that New York had to do. And I just think they're one of 3 places in this country that are extremely serious about COVID because they got hit the hardest. One being San Francisco, New York, and Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. They've been because when COVID happened, when it was at its worst, they got hit the hardest. What are your thoughts, Dan?
Well, look at the 3 cities you mentioned once again: San Francisco, LA, and my home city of New York City. You mentioned 3 of the largest and bluest cities in the country. They're going to, and people look at us as far as those, especially LA and New York. Let's just keep LA and New York, the 2 probably biggest major cities in this country, some of them biggest outside of Texas. Mm-hmm. Most of the blue looks at them as the models for everything. Right now, today, New York State just dropped the mask mandate. Jersey just dropped the requirements to have to show vaccination proof. But New York State just finally dropped the mask mandate for schools. Businesses, they did that last week. So now, technically, the companies now have the right to do, as they always have, but the companies now have the right to do as they chose. I was one of the first people, which I keep telling y'all people, come listen to us just as much as y'all listen to these good brothers right here. I've been dropping shit on people's heads for the longest. I've been saying since day one that the role that De Blasio had, the rule that De Blasio had set, and the NBA, where you got to follow the city's things, that was all good. But De Blasio made the point to say, if you're not vaccinated, you can't do anything in here. Even me as a city employee, they just fired people about a month ago from all city agencies who fought to not get vaccinated instead of giving people choice. And it was stupid from day one to say, Kyrie, you can't. It's like at first it was looking like you can play in the Garden, but you can't play in Brooklyn. But then it was like, no, you can't play in New York City at all. So, but you can come from fucking Minnesota. You're on the Timberwolves. You could come into New York. You're not vaccinated. You got to follow our rules. Why can't your same home athletes follow the same rules? It's not an exception of who you are as the star athlete. You're giving accommodations to the temporary employee. And granted, most of the professional athletes probably don't even live within city limits.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Most of these cats probably drive from Connecticut or live right across the water in Jersey where the houses are better and cheaper. Like, they probably don't even live over there, so they can follow those states' laws and still come over here, follow your rules. But you're going to give the outsider the opportunity to come bust our ass. As far as New York teams, you could come bust our ass with a full squad, and I got to be down a player because of a dumbass rule. It was stupid from the beginning.
Okay, so I have a question, and I'll start with you, TJ. Kyrie playing half the games. Looking at where the Nets currently are, it's going to be tough. They have 12 of their last 23 games without Kyrie Irving. They've seemed to improve a little bit with Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. But it looks like in the first round in a 7-game series, they're probably going to draw, if they're 8th or 7th seed, Milwaukee or Philly first round. On the, I would say, give me a percentage of you thinking them being able to win that series.
Ooh, well, if they get out of the play-in tournament, right? They have to get out of that first.
Yeah.
So if they get out of the play-in tournament, and if everybody's all hands on deck, you have Durant healthy, you have Ben Simmons healthy, and Kyrie can play, I guess, if it's a 5-game series or a 7-game series, 3, then the away team, I guess the home team is going to be the number 1 seed, right? So he'll be able to play at least 4 out of the 7 games, because at least if it goes 7 games, all 4 games will be at the other team's home court.
Yeah.
So they would actually, them stealing a game doesn't help them. You know what I'm saying? Because what are they going to do when they come back home? Where Kyrie's got to sit that game. They lose that game, then they play 1 away, and then 2 back at their place, and I guess 3 at the visiting squads. I don't know what the layout is yet, but that's difficult to have the guy in 1 game and then have him out 2 games and then have him in for the last 3 games. You got to be on your shit. Like, you have to literally steal 2 games, 1 at home and one on their home floor, and then you got to roll the dice to hope it works out for the last couple of games of the series. And I don't see them being successful at that. You taking a guy who's averaging 25, 26 points off the floor every night, and he's probably contributing more than that with his assists. So where are they making that up at? Seth Curry's not going to make that up. Andre Drummond and Seth Curry combined can't make that up.
So Dave, what are your thoughts on that, percentage-wise? What do you think that thoughts are? Beating a fully stocked Bucks team, or the Sixers with Harden?
I'll give it a little bit more of a thumbs up, like in the Nets' favor, because like TJ said. But like one thing I disagree with, like you don't have to steal 2 games. You gotta look at it. You gotta look at it in a reverse role. Now you gotta try to steal a game at home without Kyrie. Because now you know if we're the away team, that means I get Kyrie, Ben, and KD for 4 games. So realistically, I have to just steal one at home. And now I'm at full strength on the road. So games 1 and 2 would be in Milwaukee or Philly. So I'm full strength for those 2 games. And then 3 and 4 would be in Brooklyn, where now it's like I gotta steal a game at home.
So do you think it makes a difference traveling wise, the toll it takes on a team if they're going to Milwaukee or Philadelphia, like depending on how far they have to travel?
Yeah. Travel always going to take a toll.
Yeah.
On athletes. I don't care like if you're in tip top shape. Travel is always going to take a toll. So the ideal situation would be for them to
not if it's to Philly though. To Philly.
I was gonna say the ideal situation would be them to play Philly because it's not that big of a travel. People take that ride every day.
Right.
But going to Milwaukee, like it's gonna be
that's like a 3-4 hour flight. Yeah, that's
right.
If it's more than 3 hours, then I can say it'll affect you a little bit more than it would.
But I give them I give the Nets a puncher's chance, especially with all 3 of them and being able to play on the road.
So 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
You can't count out Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely can't. You definitely can't.
You can't.
Oh yeah.
One I will say is this. One, you can't look at these as you gotta steal. No, you're a fucking professional athlete. Your main objective is to go beat whoever's in front of you. No theft, go take it. So straight up and down, you gotta go take them shits.
Right.
Don't steal, go take them shits. Number one. Number two, if this vaccination thing isn't at least eased up, like this Monday we're supposed to get a determination from Eric Adams on just the school mandate and the lifting of the mask.
Yeah.
So hopefully they may be expanding a little further into that. So barring if they keep the vax mandates up, you might have a fresh Kyrie for the travel games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got to think about it like that. You're lessening the chance of injury being out on the floor.
Well,
with him for a full series.
Here's the positive development before we move on. Kyrie is actually allowed to practice with them in Brooklyn now. Today, he's allowed in the practice facility while the rest of the team is there.
Right.
So that could alleviate some of the chemistry issues. But like TJ said, if I'm not on the floor with you in the line of real live fire, I don't know how you can't just pull that in and out. And then I still think, going back to the original Ben Simmons question, is how effective is he going to be? Because he's a specific type player with a specific skill set that needs specific things to happen for him to be effective. That's why I don't know how that works.
This is where the practice will come in, though, as far as the mesh system. Because to me, I'm not worried about Kyrie playing on the floor with anybody. He's got that kind of game that, in my opinion, you can plug and play him with anybody, anywhere. That's just my opinion on Kyrie. I think he'll work. It's about creating that mesh with how are they going to work on the floor with Ben Simmons, which I already said to y'all out in public. Ben Simmons can run the point. Kyrie can fucking eat at the 2.
What you want to do anyway.
Right. So my thing is not Kyrie fitting in. It's more getting Ben Simmons acclimated to the rest of the squad. And him, when Kevin Durant and Kyrie on the floor, there's really no pressure for him to go out and do what he needs to do. He could just be himself because he'll be the third option. You know what I'm saying? There's no pressure like it was for him in Philly to be the number 2 option. But that changes when Kyrie's not on the floor for those home games. So, that's why I say, where are you going to get that production from? Because he would need to step his game up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And
Seth Curry, Patty Mills, they have shooters. This is where, when we talked about this deal, when Ben Simmons and Harden,
it depends if they get Joe Harris back too. You know what I'm saying?
Not worried about him. Not worried about him because to me they picked up a shooter in Seth.
But
And
listen to this.
Seth is not a ball dominant guy that's necessary. He doesn't have to have the ball in the hands. Ben just has to play distributor, play great defense.
Check this, right? I think this is, and just to close this topic out, I will say this. We're all talking about the X's and O's. That's going to be the most important thing. And I think this is where we're going to find out what kind of coach Steve Nash really is. Because that's also the thing. How are you going to deploy this?
Is he a coach?
Or is he a manager?
Yes.
That's what I want to know. That we're going to find out about Steve Nash being the coach, because I got my own feelings, and we'll talk about this another time on Steve Nash always moving to the front of the line.
Steve Nash is the AAU coach. He's just like, look, here's the ball, y'all go play.
Exactly. Everybody have good feelings and love each other. ELE. That's what it is.
Two-time suspect MVP.
Yo, shout out to my man Chris Walker. He's tapped in from the West Coast, man. Philly native. What's going on, Chris? Yeah,
Chris.
So here's another thing, right? We're looking at how bad the Lakers are. Even though AD's not there, they look pretty bad. They're starting to lose to a lot of people. They got smoked by 20-plus points on their own floor by the Pelicans and Brandon Ingram. It was beautiful to see him do that.
Yeah,
I'm happy because I felt like people cast him off like he wasn't worth it. And now he's proven to be actually something. So I'll start with you, TJ. I'll say this. The Lakers are currently sitting in the ninth spot. So they're in the middle of the play-in. Are the Lakers done? Do you think there's a chance that they don't make the play-in game?
Chris, can I just throw this into TJ real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
And this is to you too. Did y'all notice that none of y'all Sixers fans who try to talk the most shit and say the most generic, corny jokes? Not you, Chris. We all know who we're talking about.
Yeah,
they didn't. These cats didn't roast no Lakers getting whooped by that bad, but they wanted to ride us for Oklahoma City loss. That's all I wanted to say to you, T. That's it.
I know where the writings on the walls is at. Listen, I don't know why anybody thought this Lakers team was going to be any type of good with the age of their personnel. They have a laundry list of dudes who live on the injury on the IR. So to be where they're at is no surprise. I don't know why everybody's acting so surprised. AD is out at least 3 times a year. LeBron, for rest purposes or whatever, he's out maybe once or twice a year. And then, do they really have balance like that? They just signed who they pick up today? DJ Augustine. They just picked up DJ Augustine today to solve some of their point guard issues. That was a forest fire waiting to happen. Like, I see them making a play-in. I just don't see them making it out of the play-in. Like, they might lose. And LeBron can't will his way to victory like he used to anymore. He just don't got it like that. He needs help. The man needs help.
So, Dave, do you think there's a chance the Lakers could fall out of the play-in game?
Nah, they're gonna survive the play-in because you gotta, like, they're in the 9th seed.
Yeah,
you have to look at the teams that's chasing them: the Pelicans, the Blazers, and the Spurs. Like, do we really think any 3 of those teams can like jump them and knock them out of the play-in?
No.
But
could they lose to their team in the play-in though?
Could they lose? I don't think they're gonna lose to any of them in the play-in.
Okay.
Now the play-in, if they happen to play the Clippers in the play-in, I see them losing to that game.
Okay.
I see them losing to the Clippers, and I see them losing because in the play-in right now would be the Clippers, Timberwolves, Lakers, Pelicans. I think the Lakers could beat the Pelicans but lose to the Clippers and T-Wolves in the play-in.
I think the Timberwolves are just too young right now. I saw it against the Sixers. They still make bonehead decisions.
Right.
Even like Karl Anthony Towns is still a kid.
But then, like, they don't have the size. Even though, like you say, oh, we got AD and I still think the Lakers are too small for.
They're not
Minnesota.
a deep team either. They're not a deep team.
No, not at all.
Their bench is weak.
I actually think DJ Augustine, they should have picked him up a while ago. You know what I mean? Like, he's a better basketball fit. I'm not saying he's a difference maker.
No.
But you just don't have a player like that on your roster.
Right.
Russell Westbrook has seen his last days.
And we both said that. I'm pretty sure you guys said it on your show when the Lakers traded for Westbrook. We both said, like, this isn't gonna work.
No.
Like, I don't know where he fits. It's not like Westbrook is a typical person on LeBron's teams, like historically, where you go sit in the corner, I kick you the ball and shoot. That's not Westbrook.
No.
Westbrook, if you kick it to him in the corner, he's gonna pump fake and dribble to the basket and try some kind of shot that he always takes.
Side of the backboard.
So
That's what
it's
he's hitting
like-
this year.
I don't know what I think the Lakers would have helped them out. I think they should have went on with that Kings trade to get Buddy Hield.
Yep.
And DeMar DeRozan was willing to take less money to go to the Lakers. So they should have did the Kings trade and signed DeRozan.
Listen, LeBron
That'd
got
have been
who
a
he
whole
wanted.
different squad right there. That'd have been a whole different squad right there.
Right. But I think they looked at it as DeRozan doesn't fit the way LeBron plays because he doesn't shoot the three.
All right. So I'm gonna change the question for Dan because we're all giving doom and gloom on the Lakers. Dan, what's the prognosis for the Lakers medical condition so far? Do you think there's a chance they could fall out of that playing game?
Fall out? Absolutely not. They're sitting square in the middle of the play-in brackets as of right now, as constructed. Fall out? No. Once they get there, it's an any given Sunday situation, one and done. Do I see them losing to the Pelicans? No. Like the homie said, if they happen to line up against the Clippers and the Clippers actually come back 100% healthy with Paul George and Kawhi, the Lakers are going to lose.
Yeah.
And the Lakers are going to be sitting on the outside looking
I
in.
think they lose
And
if
it's-
Paul George comes back.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's totally okay to not see the Lakers in the playoffs this year. Granted, TV will lose some money because the ire on LeBron, it's always there. Everybody wants to see LeBron, just so whether it's more to criticize, to say,
Yeah.
oh, well, you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. He's not Jordan. He's not Jordan, even though Jordan ain't Bill Russell, Jordan ain't Kareem, Jordan ain't Wilt, but I digress. So
Oh, yo, you talking to the wrong guy here. We'll get into that toward the end. But yeah. We'll get into that.
you feel what I'm saying, though. It's
Yeah.
the NBA would love LeBron because whether it's love or hate, it brings revenue by way of eyes to television. They better hope they don't line up against the Clippers.
All right. So, in your opinion, Dan, I'll keep it with you. What's next for the Lakers, right? Do we see them making it out of that first 7-game series against one of the top teams?
No.
So we're in a
No,
consensus. I don't see them
rest
getting out of
and
the first
rebuild.
round.
No,
They get
yeah.
swept.
rest and rebuild. They could get swept. They could go 6. It don't matter. They're not making it out of the first round this year. Rest, reconstruct.
Okay,
Rest and
so
reconstruction. That's what they need.
So let's add in these factors, right? Do you see LeBron stand? He's already taking shots at Rob Pelinka as if the Lakers haven't done enough for him. He's already, looking elsewhere. AD seems to be unhappy. Shout out to B-Mac. He just checked in. AD seems to be unhealthy and generally uninterested. He doesn't look interested. And they still have to move Russell Westbrook this offseason. Do you see this team completely dispersing?
My answer is real quick. LeBron signs 1-year deals till Bronny gets out. Then he calls it a career. I'm done.
Okay. So Dave, what do you see happening with the Lakers after this season? I think we all agree that there's no chance that they make it out of the first round against the top team.
No, they're not making it out of the first round. And a lot of these guys are going to be gone anyway because a lot of the guys that they signed this offseason was 1-year deals.
Yeah, and they're our age. Yeah.
Right. They're like they're a 35 and over record league. Like, I don't see any help.
They're not our age, TJ. You hear? They're not our age. There ain't no 40+ niggas running on that court.
Listen, 40's right here. We knocking on
Yeah,
it right
we
now.
Shit, I'm a sneeze away from 50. So
I see 40 turning on my street.
Yeah. 40 looking in the back window now. TJ, I'll ask you this. If you're the Lakers, do you just send LeBron back to Cleveland? What do? Do you disperse that team?
Well, you got to break it up. I mean, because the moving parts that they don't fit. You know what I'm saying? The pieces don't fit. It's putting a round peg in a triangle's hole. It's not. You can't jam it in there and make it work. So yes, a lot of people will be moving out. what the deal is who can they get, and for what. They really didn't have any money. They had a lot of money locked up too, so they don't have too many draft picks. So how they reconstruct is going to be very interesting to me. Just because a lot of people want to play with LeBron doesn't mean LeBron's going to get him.
Right.
So I see LeBron staying there maybe another year, and if it doesn't work, he's gone. And like he said, he's waiting for his son to come out, and he'll play wherever his son is playing, allegedly, air quotes, because if his son gets drafted by the Knicks, they'll magically trade him to someplace else because he's not playing for the Knicks.
I think by him saying that, he's putting pressure on an organization to draft his son, because right now, like his son's junior year, to me, he's not that good. So now he's still young, and by the time he gets to college and then draft eligible, his game might improve. But now, like as of right now, he has a second round draft grade. So now you're gonna, by LeBron coming out with that statement, now you're gonna have teams reaching to go get him in the first round just to get LeBron for 1 year. And then
does that make sense though? Does that make sense?
But then when LeBron leaves, now it's like, now we're back to nothing, because we got
right.
for his 1 year, we got
still got to develop his son. You still got to develop his son.
Right.
Also watch this, y'all, because the talks have been going on for the past few years. The NCAA requirement of 1 year in college, in my opinion, will be gone by the time Bronny's eligible.
The CBA, the new CBA is coming.
Right. And with that being gone, he might not be ready for the league, but that's where teams are gonna reach for him.
Agreed.
He might not be fully developed.
Agreed, but then that's where when they say LeBron spends $1 million on his body, LeBron's now going to be spending $2 million on two bodies
right,
to get his ass ready.
Well,
quick thing I wanted to say.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I want to say quick thing I wanted to say on the whole Lakers deal. As I mentioned, to free up that money that y'all was talking about, where they're going to get it from, Russell Westbrook leaving is a must, and then they'll have a ton of money freed up.
Yeah. See, if I'm the Lakers and LeBron is glamoring about saying that, the door is not closed going back to Cleveland, I will call Cleveland and say, look, you can have LeBron and you give me your core pieces. And I'm pretty sure Dan Gilbert is gonna be like, okay.
Which is stupid, but
LeBron would be an economic stimulus package for the Cavs.
Yeah.
But also, I'll say this too, right? Like, I'm looking at the Lakers. Russ makes $43 million next year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a team that's flush with cash, right? And do they just buy him out? Just give him $30 million to walk? Because I don't even think that John Wall trade would even help you, because Russ has to go in a 1-for-1 deal.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's sending you multiple players for Russ, because you're taking back multiple problems with Russ.
Mm-hmm.
So do you just buy Russ out? Just because I'm radical. I think you just tear it down, because you got LeBron, because you tanked and got the assets to be able to get LeBron. So it's time to go back to the tank and tank aggressive.
But if you buy Russ out, isn't that money still affected against the cap?
No. That's just money out of your organization. You basically get
that
them
you just lost.
Yeah,
and
it's basically like when you buying a guy out, you're not really giving him his whole salary. It's like,
you're giving him a percentage of it.
Yeah, if you making 47 next year, look, we'll give you 30. So that means like Russ is giving money back.
Yeah,
to get up out of there.
It's like a settlement. It's like a settlement out of court.
Yeah,
And whatever team, if they were to find some idiot to make a deal with, because you would have to be stupid to want to take on all of that money, that team either A, must really need him, or B, be in full preparedness to say what y'all just said. Look, we're just looking to sign you and dump you.
Yeah, NBA junk.
Take this money. That's it. Take this a pump and dump is what they call it in the stock market, right? A pump and dump is exactly what they would have to do. Pause to Westbrook.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yo, listen. Now that we've lowered the coffin on the Lakers, let's talk about Ja Morant. And this is an interesting conversation. He's averaging 40 points a game over the last 4 games. Every night he's doing a new highlight. It's like an N1 mixtape tour against really good teams in the NBA. Is he a top 5 player this year? And I'll make it a 2-part question. Does he have a shot at the MVP? Let's start with Dave.
Is he a top 5 player in the league right now?
this year?
This year, you probably would have to say so. You would. And then as far as like, because he's taking a Memphis team and he's making them exciting to watch.
Yeah.
We all remember the Grindhouse Memphis teams, Marcus All and Zach Randolph and
Zebo.
They weren't exciting to watch. They played hard they played 90s defense.
Yeah, I loved it.
So it was like we loved it because that's what we grew up watching.
Forearming your side.
But it's like
there we go.
everybody else is like, this is boring. We don't want to watch this. Job made them exciting. Now, as far as like a realistic shot at the MVP, if where they stand now, no, because Joel Embiid is playing well and DeMar DeRozan is playing well. I think if Memphis gets the number 1 seed in the West because Chris Paul's out for the rest of the regular season, and Devin Booker just got into the COVID protocol. So if they could find a way to catch them and win the West, then yes. And that's the same thing I go with DeRozan. If the Bulls can get to the number 1 spot in the East, I think he deserves the MVP.
Yeah.
But then you as far as like MVP, you still can't count out the Joker in Denver.
TJ, your thoughts?
Is he top 5? He's on the bubble. I'd say he's on the bubble because you got Embiid right now. You got the Joker. Chris Paul, before he got hurt, was balling, carrying the Phoenix Suns. You got DeRozan, who's playing lights out right now. He's right there. He's right there. And like you said, the last 5 games, he's really come on. So, he's starting to build some consistency. Your man's a high flyer. He can do it at all 3 levels. He's got the mid-range. He can hit from deep, and he can take anybody off the dribble whenever he wants to get his own shot. His handles are just as good as about anybody's in the league. So I think he's on the bubble at top 5, as he's a real dark horse for the MVP right now because he just hasn't been doing it as consistently as the others that I just named before him. So, I mean, is Memphis here the real deal? Yeah, they're the real deal, and they're out here ready to ball out and play. They're going to give plenty of teams problems come playoff time. But I mean, this time next year, if he's still doing it, he's obviously 1-2 for MVP in the voting.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the next 2 years, we're talking about top 5 player in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
Not just
absolutely.
this year. I know we can't put him there now because it's KD, it's Joel. You got guys, Giannis. It's tough. But I think in 2 years, he has to be in that discussion.
You can't deny him.
Dan, what are your thoughts, man? We top 5 this year? MVP?
Because of how he's playing right this year. And plus, you have to, because of intangibles, because everybody loves intangibles, is the moments that this man is creating. He absolutely is top 5 this season. Probably number 4, to be fair. As far as MVP contention, if they voted on MVP for what an MVP really is, which is the reason why LeBron James could have been the MVP every single year in his career, but it hasn't happened because they never vote for who is that most valuable player. Take John Morant off of that Grizzlies team, we wouldn't be talking about the Grizzlies at all. Take DeMar DeRozan off the Bulls, we might still be talking about the Bulls as a 7 or 8 seed, the way that they've been playing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic, they're saying he's having better numbers than he did last year in his MVP season.
Mm-hmm.
My current favorite player in the league right now, which is Joel Embiid, he is the most valuable to his team. And he showed it. I see, unlike most of y'all Sixers fans who hate us Knicks fans, I don't have that same hate for y'all because y'all have been just as much of nothing as we have been for the same amount of time. Okay, y'all been shit just like us for
That's
as
true.
long as us.
Yeah.
You know,
I'll say this though.
So I don't have the same hate. But
I said this last year. Basketball coming back to New York was good for basketball. When New York and Philly and Boston are good, the NBA is good.
In Chicago.
Chicago too, yeah.
And LA.
But this Eastern corridor, that's what it has to be. Like it has to be New York, Boston, and Philly because
Mhm.
you'll never find another area of the country with 3 teams this close that can be that good. Like it's
Right.
and that are in the basketball too.
So like I'm not a Knicks fan, but it was so exciting to see the Garden rocking like that in the playoffs last year.
Yo, my man Reggie, shout out to Reggie. He said Knicks haven't won since Dr. King was alive. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's
Okay.
a violation.
Wow.
Allen Houston.
Wow.
We'll give y'all 1983 when I was 3-4 years old. Okay.
I was just born.
Yeah.
One clap for y'all.
Hey,
we
listen,
haven't been shit for the same amount of time, with the exception of the 90s where we made 2 finals while the Sixers was still trying to figure shit out.
He also said Mitchell Robinson is Matt Geiger with melanin. I don't know who said that.
Oh no!
That comment popped up and they deleted
No.
it. That's crazy.
Yo, what?
No, that's a violation. I don't know who said that. I don't know where
What?
that came from. I don't know where that came from.
Wow.
But peace
That
to you,
was
Reggie, in the
disrespectful.
comments, though. Peace to you, Reg.
Peace.
That was so disrespectful.
Yo. But shout out to B-Mac. He's a Miami Heat fan, and I think they're the most fraudulent contenders in the NBA. But we'll save that for next week when we get B-Mac.
Wow.
You guys are welcome to come back and watch this. I don't believe
Yes.
in Kyle Lowry, and that's the worst contract
Jimmy
in
Butler?
the NBA as of next year.
He definitely doesn't believe in Jimmy Butler.
No, I don't think you should be called Jimmy Buckets when you average 19 points for your entire career. Like Jimmy Bucket, Bernard King should be Jimmy Buckets, even if his first name is not Jimmy.
He got that name when he was the only bucket with the freak when he was where was
And
he
what
in
Chicago?
Memphis,
What did they win? Nothing. So move on. You can't be Jimmy Buckets. I'm sorry.
because he was the only bucket. That's what
Oh.
I'm trying to say. He was the only bucket at the time.
Yeah, I told him he got that nickname because that one
Listen.
year for Chicago he averaged 24 points a game.
he's a low 30% three-point shooter, and he shoots barely above 37% from the field for his career. But we call him Jimmy Buckets. I digress, man.
But-
I just think
but-
listen.
I don't like Miami either, but they're across the board have been more of a more complete team than most teams this entire season and the past few seasons.
I'll let y'all acknowledge that last comment. Let the man crush go. He thinks I'm still hurt because he left the Sixers, but I was okay with him going. I didn't think he was quite the answer.
No,
Yeah.
you wanted
He
to
wasn't
keep
even
him
a
over
Sixer.
Tobias.
No, I was upset that we thought the counter to Jimmy leaving was giving Tobias Bill Gates money. We
It's
made
true.
Tobias Tony Stark, and I don't
Yeah.
agree with that.
Chris, so on that point there, is that almost the same? Does that equate to when my Knicks gave Allen Houston that 120?
That equates to
That was a terrible contract, by the way. But go ahead.
I'd
I
say-
agree.
I would say it hamstrung us, and that equates to instead of waiting for the offseason to sign Carmelo, you run out and just give away an entire war chest to the Denver Nuggets. It did the same thing. It boxed you into a corner.
Mhm.
Yeah, you were able to get Amari, Carmelo, and have what's my man name, the guard that was with them, Chauncey, right?
Mhm.
And y'all had
Yeah.
like a playoff run, but that's all it ever was. It was second and out because you just it was a rash decision. It was a snap decision, and it was desperation.
Mhm.
And our teams fall victim to that. Knicks and Sixers do that.
Yeah,
But just
Yeah.
Tobias's contract, Kyle Lowry's the next bad contract. Tobias has 1 year left as of next year. They'll be able to move off him. Kyle Lowry got 3 years, $90 million this year.
Mhm.
That is absurd. And he's 36 years old.
Yeah. And
And
Kyle-
he's not.
You just got asked to pause. I was about
Oh,
to say
yeah.
it's safe to say you don't trust that process no more.
Tobias has to go, yes, in my opinion.
What ice cream?
In my opinion. And then, yes, Al Horford further compounded that. You know what I mean?
I don't
So,
want caramel ice cream.
Yeah. Yo, you never know what's gonna happen in this podcast. Yo, Dan, we used to have a YouTube hater on here. He used to get on here and say the most foulest things to us. It was like spam, yo. So this is just par for the course. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. But that spam came from your background though.
Oh, it wasn't my background. Ain't nobody up
Oh,
in
okay.
here. Yeah, that wasn't me.
Was that you, TJ?
Yeah, I think it was.
He
and he's-
froze.
Yeah,
He
he
actually
froze up
froze.
right now. So let's move on. Like, we're gonna talk some NFL. We got football guys here. We're gonna talk Kyler Murray. Now, Dan, are you familiar with Kyler Murray's statement?
I am. I don't know it quote word for word.
Yeah,
but
we don't.
I feel where the kid stands right now in this whole ordeal. he kind of wants some say.
Yeah.
And as a top quarterback, most of them in the league, respectable quarterbacks, do get some personnel say. And it's not even as much as it's a say as you must listen to me. Like that's kind of a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers kind of, you get some you got clout when you're those kind of people.
Mm-hmm.
You have to listen to this dude though. You have to listen to him. If it's a matter of have him in the meetings. He wants to be in the meetings, have him in the meetings. Take stock in what he says, take value in what he says, because you do have Kyler Murray can be a very generational type quarterback.
That's where we disagree, but continue on.
I think that this kid could be around for a very long time. That's why I mean by generational. I think that he has the he doesn't have the stature as far as height is concerned, but he has the legs, he has the smarts, he has a very strong arm, very good arm. You want to keep a kid like that around on your roster for a while, in my opinion. So it would only behoove you as a team to just have him in the meetings to listen. Don't trust him 100% for decision making, but say, hey, Kyler, we're thinking about this. What do you think to add on to your offense? That's all I agree with as far as that. All the other bullshit of him not following him on Twitter and Instagram.
I hate that. I hate that. Yeah. All right, Dave, what are your thoughts on Kyler Murray's essay he wrote to the Cardinals about, what he wants to do or what he wants to see from the organization?
I mean, do we really believe that Kyler Murray wrote that? I think it was more of his agent, because
it definitely was a political statement.
Because the agent is the same agent for Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
Who just got an extension for 6 more years. So, but like Kyler Murray, I don't think the Cardinals like really trust him, because it's kind of like, well, one, he quit in the playoff game against the Rams. Like late in that game, he pulled himself out of the game. And then it's like, you're all, like at some point in seasons, you always getting hurt and you're missing 4-6 games. And we got to bring in Colt McCoy to come to come get us some wins.
Yeah.
And it's like the Cardinals since Kyler Murray been there, they always start the season off strong and then ended terrible. So I don't know where, how much leverage Kyler Murray thinks he's going to have, like looking at his whole body of work. And it's like, it's really not looking in his favor.
I'll say this, right? And this is a multifaceted. I got to go on my Kyler Murray rant. So what you guys are saying, I disagree that he's a generational talent. And I say this because there's only one Drew Brees. There's only one guy that's of that stature that's going to change the game. Kyler Murray, what his performance against the Rams showed me, he's not ready. He struggles for a lot of the same reasons Baker Mayfield struggles, except he seems to be a smarter quarterback, which I'll give Dan, but that stature thing is real. Mm-hmm. As somebody that, like, I look at shorter quarterbacks, 1 out of every 5 ends up being a difference-making starter, and the rest of the guys just either backups or they might float around until they're out of the league early.
Russell Wilson, one of them short quarterbacks.
Russ is he's taller than Kyler, but even then, Russ is able to, you can devise a scheme to keep Russ effective, right? Like you roll Russ out. His entire career, rolling him out to spots, getting him to throw. But Russ is also a fantastic thrower. He's just like Kyler Murray, he's a baseball player, but Russ is a far more accurate thrower, especially downfield, than Kyler Murray is right now. Not saying he can't improve.
One of the best deep balls I have ever seen.
Yeah, Russ's deep ball is perfect.
Yeah,
him and Aaron Brooks and Jeff Blake. I love the way they threw the deep ball. These guys were amazing at it. One thing I'll say though is Kyler, he's extremely small. And I think it's very difficult. I say the same thing about Baker, right? Like I'm trying to pull this all together.
You love Baker.
I think they need a coach to give them a scheme that works for them.
Mhm.
And you have to live and die by that scheme.
Mhm.
You see, Russ has not been able to get over the top because the team isn't as good and they don't have all the things around that are going to make him great with that scheme.
Mhm.
This air raid offense, trying to have Kyler stand in the pocket, and then when things break down, it's not going to work. He literally can't see. And also, teams have kind of figured out his style of scrambling. They know they can force him out to his throwing hand, and then there's linebackers just closing in every single time. And he's starting to take punishment. Now, we want to talk about his body of work. It really wasn't that impressive if you look at before this past season.
Right.
It was, hey, this young guy has a chance. He competed. We can't wait to see the future.
Mhm.
So what was the future? AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins. Let's go sign all the old people on defense. They gave him all the greatest hits of the last 8 years of the NFL. It was a greatest hits team, solid gold soul, 70s, right? And then what do we see? They weren't built for the bright lights, and they weren't built to compete at a high level.
Mhm.
So for him to make this demand, I don't know where the Cardinals didn't make the commitment to him because they spent up all the money trying to get him the biggest receivers possible, but they were also the oldest receivers possible.
Mhm.
So if they go in another direction, do you give Kyler Murray a bunch of small receivers? Do you focus on a run game to give him? Or do you give him some tight ends so where he could roll out and hit some guys and get some throwing lanes? I think that's the way he has to be successful, but I also don't think he'll ever be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback.
Now, listen to how you spoke, though, because you made your statements about Kyler, but then turned a lot of the lack of their success towards the team. This is why football is the ultimate team game. And when you really, really look at what went down with them, a lot more components fell apart. And he did too. But what was we preaching? What was I preaching before we started the show? It's about that offensive line. It's about the rest of the offense also helping out and contributing. And when you don't have a proper offensive line that's keeping you upright or keeping you from having to scramble 1,000 times a game, i.e. what Kyler ended up doing towards the end of the season, you can't put it all on the quarterback. And that's something that especially not podcasters like us, but a lot of the big-time sports pundits, they only love to look at quarterback. Mm-hmm. And if you are not, as we mentioned with LeBron, if you are not that person that they look at as you're supposed to be the one to save everything, that's how they look at all of these quarterbacks. So in some fairness, he's now going to be approaching his 4th season with this team. He's only in year 4. One of these things that I always preach when it comes to this game is you got to give people time to develop. Not everybody is shot out of a cannon. Not everybody's going to be in the situation that Ben Roethlisberger was in, where he made it to a Super Bowl early. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody's going to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Not everybody was in the situation as a Carson Wentz. Who, yes, let me remind you, people, if it wasn't for Carson Wentz, we were not put into position to make it into that Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Give Nick Foles all the credit you want. But as I put it, Carson Wentz set the table, cooked the meal. Nick Foles sat down and finished the dinner.
Carson was the MVP that year before.
He was. I think that was one of the greatest seasons I've seen.
And so to not spin it to him, you got to look at the total package of all of that. And unfortunately, with quarterback, unless you are this super superior talent or a quarterback like let's see, I'm trying to think of somebody, Daniel Jones or Matt Ryan or somebody, or Matt Stafford as a Lion, where you got your numbers in garbage time that made you look good. You can't be that kind of guy. You got to have a full supporting cast. That's what makes one of the things to me that makes football beautiful. You need 22 working pieces at all times.
I'll tell you this, though. And this is where I say about Kyler Murray and his demands.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is a terroristic threat from somebody who hasn't proven himself to make this demand. We're hearing Aaron Rodgers do this.
I'll give you that. Yep.
I totally disagree with Aaron Rodgers' approach because I think he has the best roster in the league. And he was 1 5-yard dive into the end zone from going to the Super Bowl the previous season.
Mhm.
So I don't think his complaint is valid. I think the Packers GM did what he's supposed to do and put a team around him so he could finish his career winning 13 and 14 games a year, right? I think, Josh Allen can come out and say something like this. I think, Mahomes can say this. I even think Russell Wilson can speak up, right?
Mhm.
You went to 2 Super Bowls. You're a Super Bowl champion. You're the best player on the team. That's cool. I don't think Kyler Murray has put in enough work, but also I just don't think his ceiling is as high as people say it is. And I might be in a minority on this, but he just has trouble seeing the field. And for me, Dan, you have to throw from the pocket to win the Super Bowl. You have to stand in the pocket and locate those receivers downfield. You can't always just scramble out. It's not going to work. Scrambling quarterbacks don't win Super Bowls.
Mm-mm.
They just don't. They don't. Generally, it's not because of them. Seahawks defense running.
Mhm.
Pat Mahomes, it was just the weapons were just galore. It was a war chest.
Yeah.
Right? But you see what happened the next year when he met a team that was actually capable of winning. They got smoked in the Super Bowl.
So question for both of y'all. Do you think with Kyler Murray approaching his team option for his 5th year option?
Yeah.
Do you guys think they pay him now or just wait to see how he plays next year? Like what Dallas did with Dak and what Cleveland's gonna do with Baker. Like, do you rush to pay him now and lock him up, or do you just wait and exercise his 5th year option and then just wait?
So shout out to Reg in the comments. He said he heard Kyler wanted $80 million a year. I think Kyler wanted, I don't know if it was wanted 80, but he wants that top quarterback.
Yeah, he
money.
wants top quarterback money.
And you can't give that to him. He's hurt, he's small, and then you don't know what your roster is going to be. See, this is where I'm tired of the modern athlete sometimes. What do you want? Do you want to win games or you want to be paid? And Kyler Murray, I think you need to focus on winning games rather than getting paid because you're in the NFC West. That division is going to be good. They're good early.
Yeah.
Seahawks may not be down for long. They have young talent. They're like, at the second level of the rebuild, of a 5-level rebuild, right? But you got the Niners they're a quarterback away from possibly dominating the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the Rams that are going to be there for at least the next 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to just I mean, it sounds crazy to say, why do you want your money? But why are you applying this pressure now? The landscape is not in your favor to sit there and say, give me 60 million or 70 million or whatever it's going to be in 2 years. You know what I mean?
And with that being said, that's why I agree with the notion of they're going to make him play to earn it.
Yeah.
Because he's proven that he can win games. It's not that's really not a thing, in my opinion. He can win games. It's winning the important games.
Mm-hmm.
And now putting that pressure of, okay, get us through this round of the playoffs on such a young quarterback. This goes back to when I mentioned time, learning, understanding, developing. You mentioned the 49ers. When I say you need a complete team, you need a team like the 49ers, as much as I hate to say the 49ers. They had a complete defense that was able to get them out of jams and tough situations with an offense that it just worked.
Yeah.
And to me, like, that's the best way I can explain the 49ers offense. The shit just worked.
Yeah.
Now, is it sustainable when you have your wide receiver flexing that running back?
No,
not at all.
But to me, that's the deficiency of the quarterback.
Yeah,
you have to bring your wide receiver to run in, and for some reason, they just can't keep their starting running backs healthy.
Yeah,
because of the way they run. It's like, I don't know if they run. It's just a physical running game. They don't get the right running backs for that.
Well, I think I don't look at that much as a deficiency of the quarterback, even though, Jimmy G he's that iffy guy. Like, he's that guy who's gaining his notoriety because he's on a solid team.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, mainstream media wants to always give love and talk about the quarterback, but you're not talking about the other side of the ball that's truly winning them those games.
He's Ryan Tannehill. That's what he is. They're the same caliber.
Yeah.
To a point, but Ryan Tannehill definitely put up way better numbers in more games than Jimmy G probably ever has. Jimmy G, in my opinion, the Patriots should have never got rid of him. He probably would have worked better under Belichick in his system, but he's still the beneficiary of having a solid team. Kyler Murray, like you just mentioned, Kyler Murray's got to work through. Now they got to work out getting all these old guys out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Tannehill, his numbers were better than Jimmy G because I think Vrabel gave him a little bit longer of a leash than Shanahan gave Jimmy G.
Yeah, and I'm not
But
the
also-
anti-Jimmy G guy either. Like I
But
think
also he did
he's
his thing in
salvageable.
Miami. But he did his thing in Miami too.
Ah,
In and out. Like I mean, they had a lot of up and down seasons.
as
you
a
know,
Bills fan,
I'm
I don't
not-
think
I'm-
he did. I've seen him.
I'm not saying it like he was all pro. I'm just saying
Right.
he was a serviceable.
He did
serviceable
enough.
quarterback to get him to another situation and now thrive.
Yeah, he did
think,
enough.
I think Tannehill got paid in that Blake Bortles era where there were no other quarterbacks, when the draft classes were just starting to come to fruition and quarterback position was being replenished. Because I just remember the Jets and the Bills marching Pee-wee teams out there, and Tannehill couldn't figure out how to get it done. In our worst days, we were beating Ryan Tannehill,
Right.
like dominating him. Like, hey, you won't throw a touchdown this game.
I think Tannehill benefited from having Derrick Henry in the
Oh yeah,
backfield, and having, we're not even going to say Julio Jones because Julio was kind of a shell of himself.
yeah.
AJ,
he's
we're
done.
going to talk about AJ Brown.
Yeah.
So now
Julio
when you
wasn't healthy. Julio wasn't healthy, straight up and down.
and when you got Derrick Henry back there, and he's averaging 120 yards a game, that play action is gonna kill any defense. So
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of Tannehill's yards was coming from. Like once I stick it in his belly, this defense is gonna collapse,
Mhm.
and then now I'm gonna have throwing lanes to hit my tight end or AJ Brown.
But guess what? We're kind of utilizing that as a knock, but that's how football is supposed to be played.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how the game is supposed to work. And so realistically, a lot of the arguments that come down like that to that is when you boil it down to the simplest thing is I just don't like that guy as a player. And I'm not pointing that at y'all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm talking this is in general. Like
In general.
you just don't like seeing that guy as a player.
Well, I just don't
Straight
think
up and
that.
down.
I just don't think that in the biggest moments he has what it takes to get them over the top. This is what I think about Kyler. You know, I think he's better than Jimmy G and Tannehill, but I think the same thing about Jimmy G as I think about Tannehill. I just think that in that playoff game against a formidable opponent, you have to agree that it takes arm talent and it takes a certain cerebral nature to win those games. You know, Aaron Rodgers wins a lot of those games with his mind.
Yeah.
He's not physically who he used to be, but there's that next level, and I just don't think he's that guy. And that's my thing. And that's so I understand the game is supposed to be played. I think, yeah, I would love to have your best quarterbacks play in that Derrick Henry system. But I think that if a team were to happen to take Derrick Henry away, those next level quarterbacks could still win that game with Derrick Henry rushing 13 times for 56 yards and no touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Possibly. And when you think about, you mentioned Aaron Rodgers real quickly, you gotta mention Devontae Adams. If Devontae Adams didn't have the ability to freaking get open as easily as he does against any defense,
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers would have trouble because that whole you mentioned. I'm sorry, we're segue into Green Bay real quick, but you mentioned Green Bay had one of its best teams as a whole, and Aaron Rodgers still couldn't do it. It's Green Bay showed they truly didn't have one of their best teams, and consistently, ever since they won that Super Bowl, Green Bay's defense has always been mid to just above or very, very below, because that team defensively could never win a game if they weren't playing with at least a 10-point or better lead. They would ball the fuck out with a lead.
Yeah.
Let them come back from behind. It would take a lot of fluky things to happen, and Aaron Rodgers and Devontae connecting, and every other receiver on that team getting open because Devontae's pulling so much pressure away from everybody else for them to come back, putting everything on the arm of Aaron, because their running game could be suspect or could look all world depending on who they played against in that front seven they played against.
So I'm gonna ask Dave this. Dave, we were talking about Kyler Murray, and I think what we'll all agree that this second tier of quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
This is not the higher tier. This is not Rodgers, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. We got to put Burrow up there.
Yeah.
Right. Looking at this second tier of quarterbacks and looking at Kyler Murray, just to close that out, do you think he can be a top 5 quarterback in this league?
Nah. Nope.
Dan, do you think he has that capability?
Capability, absolutely, because
Okay.
any given Sunday.
And I'm always down to talk about the Packers because I've been sick of them all year. I hate the way Aaron Rodgers injected them into this news cycle because he turned them into a soap opera. I'm going to ask you this, Dave. What do you think Davante Adams does? Do you think he goes where Aaron goes? Because he wants a lot of cash, man.
I'm not gonna say he goes where Aaron goes because the wild card in a Davante Adams sweepstakes is Vegas. He played with Derek Carr at Fresno State.
Yeah.
So that's always going to be a wild card for him, a destination for him to go to if he doesn't stay with Aaron Rodgers. I think Derek Carr might be the only quarterback that he would be willing to go to besides A-Rod.
Yeah. They say the franchise tag is like ridiculous, like 25.
Like 25.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I don't know about that.
And they already what, 45 mil over, and that's not even including that franchise.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be hard for them to. I see that Green Bay's making moves to get under the cap.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're gonna be able to make enough moves to get both of them.
It's a lot of fat to cut
under
there. Joe, shout out to Pops just tuned in. He said the Knicks are tired. Tibbs wears those boys out. We are, yeah. I told you, man. Tibbs, man, you feel like you play 2 games every night. Shout out to Reg. He says Allen, Burrows, Herbert, Rodgers, not in that order. Those are his top 4 quarterbacks. I don't know how he left Mahomes out there, so we're gonna move on.
Well, he mentioned Mahomes.
Oh, he mentioned Mahomes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yo.
Mahomes alone.
My bad. I was like, hold on, yo, that list is crazy, but it slid up because I have something on my screen. So Dan, looking at the Packers, what do you see Davante Adams doing, and what do you think is best for either him or the Green Bay Packers?
I see Green Bay franchising him to keep him around, hoping that'll entice Aaron Rodgers to come back. But Aaron Rodgers did sign a 1-year deal to see what happens.
Yeah, I think
with all the drama that they're talking about, Jimmy G, they already, which is, again, we talked about him in one way before, but it's completely disrespecting the man who just helped you get to where you got to this season. Oh, for the past few seasons, mind the way, because he was just a shade off. He made it to they did not make it to the Super Bowl. Almost made it a few times with this man at quarterback, which shows you that he's serviceable enough to get the job done to help you get there, along with the other great fine pieces that they have. But I think Aaron Rodgers still wanted to be a San Francisco 49er ever since they passed him in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, you think that? I never looked at that, because I remember they took Alex Smith. But I've always been one to think Aaron Rodgers landed exactly where he was, because I don't think him or Alex Smith were ready to start right away. I always looked at that draft class and say, I think Alex Smith, if he had someone to sit behind for that 4 years or 3 years or whatever, Brett Favre kept him at bay. And then Aaron Rodgers, it was a turnkey operation. He dropped right into the Packers, and they had a phenomenal team around him. And that's, consequently been the best time in his career.
I mean,
he won the Super Bowl with that team.
That's the same thing what Dan said about Roethlisberger. He dropped into the perfect situation.
Oh yeah, if he doesn't tackle Peyton Manning, or not tackle Peyton Manning. Bob Sanders. On that Peyton Manning Colts team. If he doesn't tackle him by his shoestring,
they don't go to another Super Bowl.
No, they definitely don't.
So
yeah, that was a wild sequence, man. That might have been the luckiest play. I think that's luckier than the helmet catch.
The helmet catch is a Hall of Fame catch.
It is. But I'm talking about luck. Aaron Roethlisberger had like one finger out and tapped his toe, and he tackles him at like the 48-yard line. That's one of the most amazing lucky plays I've ever seen.
Yeah, what's the name? Wasn't it Santonio Holmes' freaking corner the end zone touchdown to win the Super Bowl?
I still don't think he got both feet down.
He did.
I still don't. I gotta look at it again. I still don't think he got the other foot down.
Yeah, man. I think that's one of the top 5 throw and catches in Super Bowl history. But we could debate that all night. What I want to move on right now, the MLB. They missed the deadline, and now we're missing games now. Dan is clapping right now. If you can't see him, Dave. Dave, talk about this MLB thing. What are your thoughts on them missing games again?
It's terrible because when there was a strike in '94,
we remember. Yeah,
baseball lost a lot of fans back then, and what got the fans back?
Home steroids.
Steroids.
That's right. Needles in the ass.
That got the fans back. Do we have that same like kind of like fandom when like now like when they resume, like is that gonna catch fans' eyes again? Like but people making it like to the media, they're ESPN and they're feeding to us that it's the owners versus the players.
Yeah.
I think it's the owners versus the owners. I think some of these owners, like what's the sticking point? Like some of them want more playoff teams and some of them want 12. Some want 14, some want 12. I think it's the owners versus the owners because they lost a lot of money during that COVID season.
Yeah.
And I think by them adding more playoff teams, that's going to bring money back. So hopefully they're saying hopefully the money that we're going to make by adding extra playoff teams is going to recoup some of the money that we lost during this COVID hit. So I think it really boils down to not owners versus players. I think it's just owners versus owners.
I definitely think the owners have a legitimate gripe, right? Like they didn't cut the players' pay during the COVID season. They still gave them their money and they treated them like royalty, which they always have. The MLB players have been living fat off the land for years. Now, I think they should expand the playoffs because they need to get more markets involved in the success of baseball.
Right.
And they need to incentivize more teams to try to get better. You can't be the Orioles. It's not good seeing them like that. That's a baseball city. That's a signature franchise. We need to see you try to get better, which is why now I understand the lottery aspect that they're calling for with the draft. But I'll kick it to Dan. Dan, what are your thoughts on this lockout? Do you place blame? What do you think is the issue holding it up? What do you think could solve it? Just what are your thoughts?
Well, quick, just rebuttal to one of the things you said as far as Major League Baseball still paying their players. They have to pay their players because they're one of the 2 sports who have fully guaranteed contracts. So guess what? You don't pay them now, you're gonna owe them that money later. They want the. I think
they were more than gracious in giving them a pay cut, though. That's what I should say. Like they were more than gracious in not cutting their pay, I should say, and then letting that go and still giving them their bread. I don't think any other league is doing that. The NBA had to defer money, and those guys are pampered.
Right. Well, and because they had to defer also because you're talking about guaranteed contracts. And the game of basketball, it more than baseball, in my opinion, it depends on the revenue from ticket sales and filling arenas, smaller arenas compared to ballparks, things of that nature. But let's also remember most of these owners in all the major sports make their money away from the games. Okay. They make a lot of their money away from the games. But as far as the lockout situation concerned, this is Major League Baseball being Major League Baseball. This is all the MLB's fault. As y'all mentioned, what saved the game of baseball, the 1998 season, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, they played a blind eye to anything that was quote-unquote performance enhancing. And fun fact for people who don't realize what steroids are, all steroids do, they don't make you stronger. You still got to put the work in. All steroids does is ups the oxygen level in your body to help you continue longer.
Recovery time.
And recovery time and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Steroids saved baseball. The 98 season, Chick Stig the long ball, the home run saved baseball.
But you won't let him in the Hall of Fame.
Then when you think about other things, okay, so now too many people are hitting home runs in our parks. So now you're pushing the fence back to make it more of a pitcher game. So now you're mad that the games are now 1-0. Hardcore fans love that, especially
I love
when there's a real pitching duel happening.
Yes.
Yeah, I love seeing a sub 2 ERA.
So do I. When there's a real pitching duel happening.
That's
like
why I
to
love
see
it. That's why I love it when Jacob deGrom on the mound.
Or when you see a Matt Scherzer or what's the name that was with the Dodgers?
Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw. When you're seeing those guys go at it and really giving it everything, and it's strikes, not foul balls, not ground balls and shit like that. That's when the game, to me, on a low scoring end, is beautiful. But this is Major League Baseball being Major League Baseball. All their unwritten rules and all these other little bullshits as far as just anything that goes on from the front offices to shit that goes on the field, it's their own damn fault to why the game isn't as attractive anymore. The game is not as attractive anymore. And according to this lockout, the players want more care for themselves and more money because, yes, these owners make a lot of money. But the owners, they want to make more money by more playoffs. Well, you got to do right by the players, the workhorses or the slaves, however you want to put it. The slaves that you put out in the field to make you that money, you got to do right by them. Absolutely. You got to do right by them. So Major League Baseball as a league needs to just get it together as a whole, and just more than what they're arguing about right now. Forget what they're arguing about right now. I don't care that they're going to have a late start and now a shortened season. They just need to point the finger at themselves because there's so many little things and rabbit holes that we're not going to get into tonight that it's their own damn fault to why they are not as appealing anymore.
Well, I always say the marketing of baseball is bad. They don't market to minorities the way they once did. They just don't market the game to a modern generation. They don't modernize the game. And like I said, I'm radical. I want to see the fences pushed back. I want to see the mound raised. I want to see a lot of changes in baseball. I'm not a fan of the DH. I think pitchers should bat, though. I'm one of those people. But like I was talking to my pops.
You're old school type of thing because my father is a quote unquote National League guy, and I grew up a baseball guy. I grew up playing baseball first, because my father kind of.
That's the first sport we all played because that's where you get your hand-eye coordination.
We are of that generation, and my father being a baseball guy, he kind of let a invite for a tryout from the Reds just kind of slide. So I know this game. Because, like you mentioned, when you talk about the marketing aspect too, it's baseball's own fault because they have a lot of Latino prospects that want that shine. But in reality, because they still look at this as this is America's pastime, where they lost the America's pastime label 20 plus years ago,
a while ago,
to the NFL. The NFL is America's true pastime. Nothing gets shut down like a Sunday for a football game. Nothing gets shut down like a Super Bowl Sunday. But the players themselves in Major League Baseball, when you had Mike Trout, the homie from South Jersey who was with the Angels.
Oh, yeah, that's Mike Trout. Yeah, that's Mike Trout.
Oh, yeah, Mike Trout. My bad. Mike Trout, yeah. You have Mike Trout. You have Bryce Harper. These were your shining stars at one time who said it on camera in interviews. They're not about the extra shit. They're just about their game. So when you have your quote-unquote white superstars who are the best players in the league, don't want to be the face of anything. They just want to be the best on the field. You're looking at that as, oh shit, that just hampered me in a new superstar to get more people in. But guess what? You have plenty of people of color out there. Shit, when freaking what's his name? Damn, I keep forgetting all these damn players' names. But the kid who was on Boston, who's in LA.
Mookie Betts.
Black kid. Thank you, Mookie Betts. I was thinking Cocoa Crisp. They could have sold the hell out of a ton of things, made so many cereal deals with just that fucking name of Cocoa Crisp. But Mookie Betts, you have one of the best players in the league for the few seasons that he was at the top, a person of color, and they failed to utilize that
They did.
as
Yeah.
a launching
They
point.
dropped the ball.
Well,
They failed. They have so many other players of color. They had one of the young dudes on the Padres who was making some commercials out there. I think he was doing like New Era commercials, but that was about all you seen. You have a whole. It's the demographic of America is still vastly changing and rapidly changing out of their demographic, their original demographic.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
The
and their
people-
original demographic is not really alive anymore. Like,
that,
you know what I mean?
that
Yeah.
that too, but for people who grew up on the game and love the game, and you want people to still come back to the game, utilize the people of color to be your marketing tools.
Latin America, and you got the Asian market too, which is they gotta advertise that more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
Because
the MVP of your league is Asian.
yeah, it's Shohei
And
Ohtani.
he's a two-way player.
Shohei Ohtani is a freaking beast, but then
Yes, he is.
you as Major League Baseball, the conglomerate that they are, you're gonna you're gonna allow Stephen A. Smith to cap off at the mouth the way he did. He got checked for it,
Mhm.
but it was by the fans and Twitter, not
Yeah.
by Major League
Not
Baseball.
Nope.
Major
Nope,
League
not at
Baseball
all.
should have put their foot in his ass and their foot in ESPN's ass to fix that.
But that shows you
even-
where I think that where their level of pull is. Like the NFL can move the needle. When the ESPN put playmakers on, the NFL threatened them with contracts. I don't think baseball has that because they need ESPN.
Mhm.
The MLB
and that was
network-
one of the
yeah.
realest shows ever. I'm so glad you
Yo,
mentioned that because
Playmakers
so many
was the
people-
truth.
so many people forgot that show, but that show, every little bit of it was the shit. It was like Any Given Sunday, but with more detail.
Yeah, and it was real
With more
stories.
detail,
Right.
and it was real.
So I'll go around the table. I'll start with Dave. Right, Dave. What are the three main things that you think will fix baseball? Just 3 points.
They gotta take care not the star players. They gotta make sure they take care of the utility guys that
Yeah.
don't really up that league minimum.
Okay.
Up the league minimum. I think they need to do the draft lottery, and they already agreed to the universal DH. I'm cool with that, and I'm a fan of the extended playoff.
Okay. The extended playoff?
Yeah, the extended playoff is cool.
All right, so draft lottery, extended playoff, and take care of your lower level players.
Yeah.
Your utility players.
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, what about you? 3 things that you want to see baseball do. I mean, I know you just kind of talked about a few of them, but what are your 3 most important things?
I got many of things. Number one, get rid of the fucking unwritten rules nonsense.
Oh,
Bat flips,
Yeah.
pointing, calling out shots. It's just like how I like with the NFL, and I like to criticize the NFL because they love to be critical of the end zone dances and shit like that. Fans love it, people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm staring right into the camera, into the YouTube world to tell you, we like that shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You want people loves talking shit in sports. Baseball needs to fuck them unwritten rules. That was for your grandfather's grandfather back in the day. Let shit slide. Get out of your fucking sensitive feelings, players.
Make baseball
Players.
Yeah.
Make baseball fun. Market to people of color. One of the things that
That's number 2.
that was something that I wanted to do back in the day was start a league predominantly for young black kids, because like you mentioned,
fun.
a lot of people, especially out here, their first sport was baseball. A lot of that love has been lost over generations due to specialized sports. Basketball is the easiest game to pick up.
Mhm.
Football is amazing, just straight up and down.
Yeah.
Football is amazing, but find a way to make it appealing to black athletes again.
So, and we grew up with that where we're from. Like Dave just said it. We had 2 leagues actually in our town. We were a predominantly black town, but it was very healthy and highly competitive youth baseball.
Yeah.
But it seems like once we got to middle school, no one invested in it, no one focused on it, and then everybody got funneled into football and basketball again. So it was just like,
but the game the game is still boring to people because it's a slow-paced game. But you
Yeah.
have to learn to love that slow pace from a young age. That's got to get them while they're young.
Yeah,
You gotta grab 'em while they're young.
I tell people, yes, baseball is boring, like when you're watching, but when you're playing,
It's one of the best sports to
so
play.
much fun.
I love playing every other sport, but I had the most fun as a kid playing baseball.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah,
but
how
I was a
many
shortstop too. So
How many games can you play where you could sit while you're not at bat, eat, drink, talk shit, just have fun chopping it up with your people in the fucking dugout, and then be in the field talking shit, fucking around. I played every position. Position. I ultimately ended at first base. You sitting there talking shit with the man on first or whatever, bullshitting. It's fun. Then you got to, make your move, quick twitch plays, try to get to the ball, stretch. I understand every aspect of the game because I literally played every single position of the game. But number 3, and I'll just go controversial and just get a little laugh. Go like this to drugs again.
Yes,
we all agree. Yo, I don't care.
Go like that to drugs again because it's historically known. Early 90s and earlier, the party bowl of what they used to call greenies was in every locker room. And cats used to take a handful, pop some, and be up for the game.
And go on about their business.
Yep.
And go right the fuck on about their business. There was the generations before that. Their upper or downer was beer, hot dogs, or cocaine. The 86 Mets is your perfect example.
Darryl Strawberry, baby.
Of how drugs work. The fucking homie who pitched the no-hitter on acid.
Doc Gooden.
No, not Doc Gooden. It was somebody else, Doc Ellis, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
He was with the Pirates. He pitched a no-hitter in, I think, 72 or 73. Pitched a no-hitter on acid. There's a documentary about it. It don't have to be performance enhancing. Right. Let them get inebriated. And that shit is fun. That shit is fun. Let them get a little New Jack with it. Threaten them with the bat. Throw the bats at them. Something. You know what I'm saying? Or Sting. Not even New Jack. Sting was more with the bats. Have him point right at the pitcher like this is for you. You know what I'm saying? But just make the game fun again somehow, some way.
It is fun that Major League Baseball announced that they're gonna stop testing for steroids. So we might get chicks dig the long ball commercials again.
Oh yeah. Let's a shout out to the comments. Red said if baseball really wants to spice it up, they should have no 9th inning but 6 outs in the 8th inning. So he wants an Elam ending.
He wants an Elam ending.
Yeah, he wants an Elam ending in baseball. He says also chop it down to about 75 games in the season. But I think the problem there is baseball is the only sports where stats tell the entire story.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right.
That's how you know.
And 75 games, I didn't want to utilize that as one of my things, but yeah, 162 games you could stretch it to 120, 130.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Cut it down.
Yeah, like, unlike the NFL where Cooper Kupp was able to break a record because of one more game.
One extra game.
Because of one extra game. And side note to the earlier part of the conversation, that I think because Major League Baseball seen how it actually worked for the NFL this year, and the added revenue, they want to mirror the popular sport. I see it on the financial end, but I think baseball can do with less games, not shortened innings. 9 inning games are fine. Maybe even I think maybe they might have to resort to the pitch clock. Yeah. I think
they got to speed up the game. They got to speed up the game. They definitely do. I don't have 4 hours.
I think even the electronic strike zone too, because that strike zone shit is so subjective. One game my father umpired when they needed an umpire. This motherfucker called me out on strikes and I said it almost exactly like this to his face. I love my father to death, but this motherfucker called me out on strikes on a pitch that was in the middle of my shins.
Yo, that is crazy.
It's like, You should have been able to hit that. And excuse me, I wasn't the all world. I was a good hitter. I wasn't the all world hitter that you were.
He wanted you to Ryan Howard that.
I'm not swinging at that.
You had
Yo.
he wanted you to bring out your wedge.
Exactly.
Fucking
Yo.
Chipper Jones over here.
So my 3 things, and one of them I touched on already. You got to modernize your marketing. It's time to re-educate people on baseball, and you got to modernize your marketing, get younger people involved, get the ground roots going. NFL has Heads Up, NFL Play. They got all kind of
Play
stuff.
60.
Yeah, Play 60, all of that stuff. The NBA, look, they got basketball at all levels.
Yeah.
They got 7-year-olds doing the same drills that NBA players do, which is crazy to me, and that's another topic for another day. But it's time to modernize your marketing all the way down, invest in that. Since these owners do have all this money, start investing in it. Secondly, what I want to see is I want them to start focusing on player safety at the lower levels. And this is one of the things that concern me. Tommy John injuries to really good pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing very valuable talent because their arms are thrown out by the time they even get close to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you know, you got these kids out here playing in different leagues, dodging the pitching restrictions and stuff. You know, when we grew up, a guy could only, if you win a certain amount of innings, you were done for the week.
Mm-hmm.
That was it, to save your body. Now everybody's throwing high heat. You look at Strasburg, all the guys I was excited to see in this new generation. You look at them, elbows gone, shoulders gone. So now it's time to start. I guess this can go along with your marketing, but start focusing on at the lower levels, people protecting those kids. This isn't Japan. We don't respect you because you can pitch 7 times in a week and go throw 130 pitches a game. That's ridiculous.
I was going to say a little pushback on that because it happened here in this country. Pitchers used to go every day. Pitchers used to go 2 or 3 times a week.
Yo,
here.
remember,
But where the injuries come from, it's the torque that's being put on the arms from pitches like curveballs, sliders, things like that. It's not the fastballs.
Yeah.
It's
right.
all the elaborate shit that you gotta hit, snap the wrist, and things like that. That's taking out and really injuring the pitcher's arms.
But see, Dan, I don't mind those pitches, but they're throwing their arms out, doing those pitches over and over again. These kids aren't resting. I don't think baseball's the sport you should train year-round for. I don't think it is. If you want to go to like a baseball gym or a performance facility, once a week is fine during the offseason. That's what the winter's for.
As far as a pitcher.
Yeah, as far as a pitcher.
Yeah.
Because to me, as much as hitters are great and chicks dig the long ball, you're great pitchers. There's nothing better than seeing a guy fan 15 batters. I would never, like, I love home runs. You know, Ken Griffey Jr. is my favorite player. I'm a Mariners fan. Edgar Martinez, Jay Buhner, all of that. But there's nothing better than seeing King Felix on that mound with the K's going and people like, yo, because it's the most suspenseful thing. Full count, 96 miles an hour straight down the middle. You're out.
Yeah.
And now we're walking off the mound.
A top pitcher can neutralize offense.
Exactly. Nolan Ryan.
I hate the Mariners, by the way, still to this day.
Hey,
Yankees
man.
fan.
That's another.
See, this is where me and you we're on the same page now.
Listen, man.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Yankee
It had to
fan.
happen. We had to cut through at some point. You know what I mean? And 95 was great. Griffey had 9 home runs in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
Yeah, which was amazing. But we also had Randy Johnson, the big unit. That was one of my favorite things. Me chasing down Mariners games in recent memory when Felix was at the height of his powers. The pitcher, he was healthy. He could get it done. And like just like Sabathia, I can't stand the Yankees. I think they're the scum of professional sports. But I appreciated watching Sabathia be able to last, be able to pitch, and to be able to be aggressive out there for 7 or 8 innings. I don't like these guys. They got to be so fragile. They can only come in. They're like, oh, who's starting today? He goes 3 1/3, and now we got to watch 8 different pitchers finish the game.
Yeah, we got to go a bullpen game.
Yeah, we got a
Right,
bullpen game, a specialist for the middle of the 5th inning, and then the top of the 6th. I'm tired of it. But baseball needs to focus on that.
But your I'm tired of it goes directly against what you just mentioned about pitchers and rest.
No.
It
What
goes
I'm saying is,
I get it now.
They can't go the long innings because they're done by the time they get to Major League Baseball. So because they got to sit out for a year and a half.
It clicked in my head after the fact. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right,
a guy will
Cliff.
be 12-2 with a 2.5 ERA, but then Tommy John, it's see in a year and a half, and then he's never the same.
Man, remember the 85 Mets when Doc Gooden went 24-5? Like that's never gonna happen again.
Listen, Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine were a joy to watch.
Yeah.
There's not many other teams that I watch other than my own, but those guys pitch. It was scientific.
Right. Because
revisionist history, I agree, but I hated them Braves.
Yeah, I hated them. I hated them. But it was like, but with them three, not even just them three, because it was like the whole Braves pitcher staff. Like, they didn't rely on, I'm gonna throw 100 miles an hour.
No,
Maddox will get up there. I saw Maddox throw a 76 pitch complete game. Right, like, you're not gonna get that now.
Right, working the count, working the plate, working the strike zone, eye levels, all of that. There's a science to pitching that I don't see often anymore.
No, these guys, these young kids now, they just want to go triple digits all game.
Shout out to Chris Walker. He said, "Y'all making me want to get back into baseball." Listen, baseball is the most intricate sport. If there ever was a sport with intricacy, if it's coached right and it's marketed up right, people would understand the skill that it takes.
Yes,
to just play the game.
If they respected the GOAT Barry Bonds just a little bit and actually told the stories of how this dude used to train. Like, my father used to tell me shit. Like, one of the things that Barry used to train, one of the ways he used to train was the balls that was being thrown to him was numbered. He would have to identify that number, call out the number, and make a hit.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
You understand why he's the fucking great? Like, this is why he's the greatest hitter, in my opinion. Besides numbers, this is the greatest person I've ever seen hit the ball, period.
He's the only person I'll argue that I've seen greater than Ken Griffey Jr. that I'll let somebody argue with me. Other than that, there is no other.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I got Barry as like 1A and Griffey as 1B.
Oh, let me give y'all. Yeah, I'll take that. But don't.
I'll never put Ken Griffey up that high. And not because he said he'll never play for the Yankees. I just wasn't that big of a fan. His swing was sweet. I wasn't a fan of the uppercut like that. Yeah, I'm saying it on your show. I'm sorry.
Listen, man, you violating, man. You know what I mean?
I just wasn't a Ken Griffey guy. Now,
listen, I wasn't a Jim Leyritz fan. So,
but me, like we're talking favorite players. I mean, Bonds became number one, but my number one of all time.
Let me guess.
Still to my heart.
Let me guess. King of New York, Bernie Williams.
Wrong. Ricky Henderson.
Oh, Ricky was fun. That was a fun player to watch.
The best part of to wrap up his career was watching him on that Hall of Fame stage talking third person stuff.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. That was lovely. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I didn't give you guys my number 3, salary cap. I think I want to see more teams have a chance. You can't be bad for that long. I want to see a salary cap in baseball. Make it a high salary cap. Just make it a salary cap.
That was one of the sticker points where that's why I would say owners versus owners.
Yeah.
Because let's say the owner from the Royals, he's saying like, look, let us like make it fair for us.
Exactly. Nobody wants to see the Yankees buy championships.
Make it fair, because then they say it's like you got teams like Yankees and the Dodgers where if they say, oh, we want to go spend $500 million on players, we can go do it.
Yeah.
I can't.
No.
So make it even to where we're being competitive.
Well, one, that's your own damn fault.
It is.
But two, baseball has, to my understanding, baseball always done revenue sharing. So you little lesser small market teams was always eating off of us New York Yankees and other big market teams for years. And then guess what happened? For the Royals, teams like that, like the Royals, even the Astros, cheating, not cheating. Baseball still won y'all the game. Mm-hmm. You still played the game. You still did what you had to do to win. It doesn't matter your market size as long as you could put together a competent enough team to get the job done. You could be in the smallest market in the world, but guess what? You're going to generate all the brand new fans just because my city's winning. Let me put on this blue Kansas City Royals jersey. Let me just make sure I go into the right hoods because you might run into the kitchens and get your ass fucked up on hood.
One of the smallest markets in baseball is arguably one of the best teams in baseball, the Rays.
Yeah, the Rays keep doing it, and I was thinking
On-
about them too while we were
up and
talking
down,
about this.
up and down, up and down all the time. Every few years, they're either way up here at the top of the division or they're bottom feeders like Stingrays usually are.
And Cincinnati pops up every now and then too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pop
Mhm.
up every now and then and put something
Mhm.
together. But like I said, I want to see a salary cap. Even though you have revenue sharing, let some other guys get a chance. And look, or you know what? If you do it like the NBA really doesn't have a salary cap. They just have luxury tax. And if you're willing to pay it, then whatever, it's $4 for every dollar after a certain point, fine. Just put some restrictions in place to give somebody cause to pause before they go out and just purchase a super team
Right.
every
Oh.
year.
My fourth, I had to add a fourth. You want to bring people back in, put the quote unquote steroid era players in the fucking Hall of Fame, put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Show respect to the people who got you there, because let's remember Pete Rose gambled on baseball as a manager, and he always bet for his team to win.
Yeah.
He wasn't betting to rig games. He was betting for his team to win
Mhm.
all the time. Is it stupid? Yes. It was as stupid as Jerry Glanville leaving a seat for Elvis in Atlanta. But it was dumb. But put your steroid era players in there, because I'm sorry, there's no way that us people who are alive to see it, you're gonna tell us there's this 10-year plus block of people that just don't deserve. It's an embarrassment to yourself that you're allowing one person in the Hall of Fame this year. It was an embarrassment to yourself that you didn't allow these writers to induct somebody last year. Oh yeah. Get rid of the fucking writers out of the Baseball Hall of Fame too.
Ooh, we
Yes,
said that too.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's time.
I know it is not the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. It is the Baseball Hall of Fame. Get the writers out of this shit, because all they've been doing is just putting their emotions in this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
it.
We touched on this a few episodes ago, and I was saying the Baseball Hall of Fame is a museum for like the past, and the steroid era is a part of the history. So when you walk into a museum, even if you want to put them in their own section, you got to put them in there. It's crazy to where we're not gonna have the hits king Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, Barry Bonds the home run king for regular season and career, not in, and Roger Clemens with 7 Cy Youngs, the most Cy Youngs ever, not in.
Yeah.
But then you don't want to put anybody that had a link to steroid era or PEDs, but you letting in David Ortiz, and he was in the Mitchell Report. He was linked to PEDs, but you let him in.
And I was gonna say, I bet you they got a copy of the Mitchell Report hanging there somewhere that you can go read all 300 or whatever pages.
And you don't want to let these steroid era guys in, but you let Buzz Selig in when he was a commissioner of the steroid era.
Commissioner of the steroid era, the man who overseen it all. How about the managers that are in who are managing these steroid era players? The rabbit hole is too deep that they don't want to confront it because they're freaking vaginas.
Yeah.
This is a part of baseball's problems.
Listen, man, and we're people that love baseball. You don't
You
hear much podcasts talking about baseball.
Mhm.
We are
Unless-
the baseball fans.
If you are not, unless you are a full all baseball podcast, which is most likely comprised of ex-players.
Yeah.
I have a whole other thing about sports podcasting, and I've mentioned it before other ways. I'll leave that alone. But I just to simplify it all, Major League Baseball, it's your own damn fault.
My pop says, real quick, we gotta go to my pops. He says, my pop says, do not put Sosa in though.
Well, because here's the thing. It wasn't the Pink Panther Sammy Sosa who did it.
No.
Yeah,
It was the Black is Beautiful Sammy Sosa
yeah.
who did it.
Yeah.
Everybody loves everybody.
Yeah. It was not. I know Black Dominican.
Yeah.
Sammy Sosa.
Well, no, this Sammy Sosa looks like Dick Cheney. I don't know who this is.
Yeah,
That's the Pink Panther.
I could walk past him on the street and wouldn't know.
he looked like one of them villains from Dick Tracy.
Oh, brute face.
You see?
No, see?
Come on, K.
Yo, that's hilarious, man. Oh yeah, but just real quick, David Cone is a snitch. He's a rat. Shout out to Greg Anderson and Balco Labs. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Balco. Balco is the realest.
Leave my boy
on
David
55th Street.
Leave my boy David
On
Cohn
Hood.
out. Leave David Cohn out of this, man.
Yo, Greg Anderson was no custard. He stood tall. He sat down for over the course of 4 years. He did jail stints for Barry Bonds.
Because he would not tell where he got the clear from.
I hope Greg Anderson has beachfront house paid for by Barry Bonds. I hope he took care of him, man.
He is not a custard. And let's remember, Barry Bonds never tested positive.
Never.
Not once.
Never once. They keep keeping him out only because he did not like to interview with you.
Yep.
That's because he was smart enough to take the new shit, and he wasn't messing with the anabolic shit. Yeah, that's
Barry
it.
said, "I'm gonna take this clear."
Exactly. The rest of them guys were taking the Dino Bravo stuff. You know what I'm saying? They got up out of here. You know what I'm saying?
They got all the back pimples and butt marks.
You gotta shoot it in between the toes, man.
Exactly. Yo,
Damn
man. But yo, this was a great episode, man. I'm glad you came through. Episode 43, Pick and Roll Podcast. Dan, give us your outro, man. Let us know, man, where to find you.
I can't say you know what to do because I can't point at a QR code that's usually in this part of the screen. So hit up the Starting5podcast.com. That's where you can find everything the Starting 5 Podcast related, with the exception of TikTok. Please come to the TikTok page at the Starting 5 Podcast, all one word, no underscores. Fuck Twitter. I always say fuck Twitter every episode because it's the most toxic place on the internet.
It is.
And I'm out.
All right, yeah, definitely. Dave, final thoughts, man.
Hey, man, just great show, man.
Yeah, I love this, man. I love this.
We need to do this more often. It's good to have some people on that know sports,
right,
and not just talking out of the side of their face.
Yeah, and we don't have to put a Heat fan on here yet. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're telling you this is 8 years of podcasting experience and running. Lifelong sports fan and head in a way. Now I've kind of hit the road of a former athlete and kind of tailed off of watching on an active basis. It's just something it seems that most people who play these games kind of do after time. They kind of get sick of them, or not fully sick of them, but just not. It's not appointment television much anymore. But I mentioned to Chris in a quick breeze through. I don't even know if he read it or paid attention to it. We're gonna do this together live one day somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, I told him. I told him before the podcast. Yeah, you could come through, man.
We're gonna
change
do
the
this.
camera ankles and all that.
I'm gonna bring my equipment, bring the Rodecaster, bring all the mics. We can hook up whatever we got.
Listen, man.
We're gonna make this happen in person.
Yeah.
Pick and Roll 5 show, or the Start and Pick and Pop, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
that's right.
The Start and Roll, the Pick
like
and 5.
Like it.
Yeah, but we're gonna do this in person one day, and we're gonna do it. We're at an hour 47. We can go 2 hours. We might do a 4-hour show and have to do a part 1 on your side, part 2 on my side for the streams.
I'm with it, man.
Yeah,
we're gonna make this happen when the weather gets better and we don't have to sit with these fucking Hulk smash gloves on.
quick question. Since you've been in the game for 8 years, like, what kind of advice you got for us? Like especially me, where like this is my first podcast and like I'm just starting. Like, what kind of advice that you can share?
Hit me up on the side and any questions you got. Chris can give you my information online.
Right.
We'll talk there, because one of the things I've done over the years, which it's coming in this November, I usually do a podcast and content creator discussion called the Blackfinity Gauntlet. Long story to how I obtained it, but it usually goes down at my friend's anime and gaming convention, where generally we sit down with podcasters, YouTubers, and we just discuss our place in the game.
Right.
This year's thing is going to be a little different, but I'm not against helping whenever needed. So whatever questions you have, shoot them my way. It's all good. I'm free whenever, with the exception of about a half hour from now, because my black ass is going to bed.
Yeah, same here.
But whatever help y'all need, I'll help y'all out. And my expertise is more of sharpening up and tightening the screws of a show.
Right.
Because I'm still having my own troubles with the branching out, getting more people on, and getting
Yeah.
that social media attention to grasp onto what we do.
Mhm.
That's where I still have our troubles with the show. But as far as the technicals of the show, how to record, what to do, I got you.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Appreciate it.
I
And
got
then
you.
also
And
too,
Chris,
you
you've
know,
known this for years. I got you.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. And like this ain't my first rodeo on podcast either, but me and Dave been talking sports since third grade.
Yeah.
We used to come with the Sports Illustrated magazines and the Sporting News and Pro Football Weekly. We used to really read and talk about it. Like, so this is not something to do. I'm just glad that I get to do it with my boy, and then that
100%.
this is 30 years of just debating and talking about sports on a much deeper level.
Right.
And then I like real opinions too. Like I can
Word.
sit up here and say, what I actually feel, and we don't have to behold to anybody.
Mhm.
Like, look, I don't think this player is what you guys say he is. We're not the types of pull punches. We're going to keep it real on here. And I think that's the beauty of like modern podcasting and just having a show like this.
It's the beauty of what they've been calling the third phase of media, where we, the people, we don't have to resort to the talking heads no more.
Nope.
We don't. Because our opinions, thoughts, and ideas can be heard. It's just, will the right people hear them? That's the question. Like I said before, a lot of the shit that's been said about the Kyrie situation and the can't play at home, this and that. A lot of the things that like the government is saying now, where, we have to get back to normalcy. We got to learn how to live with COVID. I was saying that as soon as we got it, because no virus ever dissipates, with the exception of polio that reared its ugly head in the Jewish community a few years back at one time. Now we don't hear about it again. We say these things. We, as normal, regular thinking people, talking people, we say these things. We are just not the ones who are hired by the ESPNs, by the Viacoms, by the CBSs, by all of these media conglomerates. We're not the ones to give those opinions because, frankly, I don't think they want to hear them. I think they want to grab people's attention and make them go this way or go that way. But we're in that middle ground to where we can say what we want.
Exactly. And
real quick shout outs to my brother JP, because he hasn't been around on the show in a while, but he is one of the founders of the Starting Five with myself. And without him, the Starting Five might not be. I might be doing a different name podcast, but the Starting Five, JP is still a foundational member of this shit.
And I'm gonna shout out JP too, Willenboro alumni, man. So we got to get him over here too when we do the show. He's 75 years old, so I don't gotta get the handicap entrance.
And you can talk about all the 1980s basketball with him. He knows every player's name, number.
JP gonna come in here with Jack Sigma stats, so that's what. Yeah, he's an OG. He's like Frost in them era. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he knows them.
He knows.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But yo, I want to say something real quick. We all know about the crisis going on in Russia and the Ukraine, but I want to shout out the Klitschko brothers and Lomachenko for standing and fighting with their people.
And
Alexander Usyk. Yeah, I think that's dope. That where you see athletes, they're people too. So as much as we might sit here and go on athletes and professional athletes and give our opinion, when they do things that we respect outside of off the court, we got to shout it out too. Because I'm always shout that out. These men are standing, they're really putting their lives on the line. The situation is really ugly, but it's good to see, these prize fighters who have millions, who have everything, their lives are set. They're putting it on the line for their country and their people. That's a different level of dedication that most of us will probably never have to experience.
Right.
So I want to shout them out.
Even their president. But
he's a thoroughbred.
But here's the realest thing about that. Prayers, well wishes. I'm not a prayer guy, but well wishes, positive energy to anybody going through anything bad over there.
Yeah.
This thing, though, for our people, with the exception of the people that was being trapped over there and they've been trying to find ways to get them out, which I've been seeing a lot of TikToks on. They've been very successful. Like there's been a lot of people from Ghana, Nigeria, all these other African countries who they've gotten them out. But this has been such and I hate to say it like this, this ain't our problem kind of problem, if you dig what I'm saying, as far as black folks is concerned.
Yeah.
And the one interesting thing about, as you mentioned, all the boxers and stuff who are stepping up to fight for their country. Imagine if America gave us those same tools to actually give a fuck about this country the way that they don't give a fuck about us, for us to want to step up like that.
Yeah. That's
because if the shit were to go down today, I'm not ready to ride. Number one, I was never a fan of the military, but number two, I'm not ready to ride for a country that you still want to pin down a kid who is defending himself in a mall and harass and lock that kid, cuff that kid up in a mall in Jersey because he was black, but the kid who I think he was Pakistani but looked white, you let him sit on the couch and chill.
Hey, yo, we just got a super inappropriate spam comment too. I can't even repeat it. But there we go. We get our YouTube haters.
And the Pakistani kid that looked white, he was the aggressor.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. He was the one starting the fight. The black kid was defending himself, but he gets harassed. So if we're still getting treated like that as a people in this country, by people who tell us to stand up for the flag and all this other bullshit and all that, imagine if we had that same level of patriotism. I can't do it.
Yeah. That's real.
I can't do it. It's
That's
commendable.
real.
It's commendable that those brothers are doing what they're doing over there, but
the war got to be at my door. That's what I tell people. It got to be at my front door.
Word up. That's the best way to cap that.
But that goes to like those Ukrainian boxers that's giving up their careers to go over there and fight for their country. That just shows that their country, what their country do for them.
Yeah.
Where our country don't do for us.
Instills a sense of national pride.
Right.
For their people.
Right.
And I'm talking about exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But listen, man, this was a great discussion. Episode 43, Pick and Roll Podcast. Thank you for everybody coming out. Shout out to our usual fans. Shout out to the weird spammers in the comments, man. We love y'all too, because that still counts as a view in the stream. So, yo, we are out of here, man. We'll catch y'all next Wednesday. Episode 44 coming right up.